right, everybody. Welcome to Across the Campus, your college sports podcast presented by atbsports.net. I'm Alex, the captain, and as always, my partner in crime, AJ the Guru. AJ, Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year, man. How you doing, everybody?
So as we dive in today, we got a couple bowl games to cover, a couple things to kind of talk about. Playoffs, obviously, talk some college hoops. But, yeah, I think we got a good show, so let's get right into it.
Here we go.
AJ, I did want to talk about your favorite bowl game, since you like to talk about this one all the time, the Alamo Bowl.
Of course.
Texas taking on Utah. Texas came away with a huge win over this, I think now we can safely say, overrated Utah squad, 38-10.
Yeah, I think overrated's probably a correct term at this point.
Yeah, they did not show up in any aspect of this game. Just kind of really disappointing.
Yeah, really, from the Pac-12 championship to the Alamo Bowl, they didn't do a thing.
Yeah, no, frankly, they got exposed in that Pac-12 championship, if you ask me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Oregon really showed everybody, hey, you want to beat them? Here's the formula. So not much to write home about there if you're a Utah fan. Texas, big win on the big stage, hopefully setting them up for some momentum for next year.
Essentially the home game, too.
Yeah, which was definitely beneficial for them.
Sure.
The Liberty Bowl, Navy taking down Kansas State.
Mm-hmm.
The AAC looked really good in bowl games this year. I've been pretty impressed with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Cincinnati got a win the other night.
Mm-hmm.
Or the pouring down. I don't know if it was like an hour and a half, 2 hour rain delay.
Yeah,
pouring down rain, and there's hardly. It looked like a MACtion game. There was 20 people in the stands. So, but yeah, the AAC has looked good, and yeah, I mean Navy. They're again one of those teams that they've been down maybe a year or so,
mm-hmm.
but they still got 11 wins on the year.
Yeah, I think this was their 11th win.
11th win. So I mean, that's Navy's always going to be there.
Yeah,
and they're one of those teams too. They're not one of those free or as they call them, like preseason games, when a big school plays a smaller school, you actually have to plan against Navy, and they can defeat you. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are; they can win.
It's just that triple option, that focus on the run game. They're just so good at it, and they're just so good about really cracking any defense you throw at them.
They really are, because nobody else runs it, so it's really hard
mm-hmm.
to prepare for. And they're always even if they're losing, they're in the game. They don't get blown out very often.
Right.
And Ken Nianatalolo has been there forever.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a really nice job with that program.
Absolutely.
So that was a big win for Navy, making the AAC look really good. And
as you asked me before we got on the air, McCown isn't quarterback, still here for Philadelphia.
Oh, okay. So for those paying attention, McCowan is filling in at quarterback for Philadelphia. Are Seahawks up?
Yeah, Seahawks are up 3-0.
3-0.
Yep.
So halftime of the wild card, or closing in on halftime of the wild card.
Yep, 6 minutes to go.
Cool. And I think I want to say this was almost your favorite just based off the name, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
Yeah, that was incredible.
Arizona State versus Florida State. I was pretty impressed with both squads in this game. It was a defensive slug out.
It was.
Arizona State obviously was the favorite, and they ended up winning this 20-14. But it took an 11-point effort in the fourth quarter for them to take the W.
And we talked about them before bowl season even started, saying watch out because they are a program on the rise.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So really good look for them. Florida State drops to 6-7 on the year. Arizona State finished 8-5. So that kind of wraps it up for the pre-New Year's games.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk playoffs or do you want to talk New Year's games?
Yeah, let's talk some New Year's games. One game we really talked about a lot before it happened was Memphis-Penn State. That ended up being a really close one.
That one is a really good game. I watched that game almost to its entirety at work, and I was pretty impressed with Memphis. The fourth quarter, they just couldn't get it done, but they had Penn State on the ropes for a good majority of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State had a really solid second quarter, a 28-point effort to kind of vault them ahead of Memphis. But, I mean, Memphis came out swinging, and yeah, I like seeing that. I think I talked about it in my article I released today about the AAC is not really a group of 5 school, but they're not a power 5 school. And I know we've talked about it on here before. I think the AAC deserves a little bit more respect. You've got Navy, you've got Cincinnati, you've got Memphis, who are always consistent. You've got UCF, who had a few years of really solid football. I think this is a conference that's top heavy with some really bad low guys, but this is a solid conference.
Yeah, absolutely. They've gotten better and better every year too.
Mm-hmm.
They're Cincinnati's with Luke Fickell now they're a 10-win team every year.
Yep.
Louisville's kind of in there in the mix. Navy, so Memphis. They're not. It's not a slouch conference anymore.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, so that was a really great game. Really good effort from Memphis all the way down to the end. Just couldn't make a couple of those defensive stops they needed.
Yeah, it came down to a defense and maybe a turnover there at the end. That's
yeah, that
really
late turnover.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
This one had some controversy at the end.
Yeah, this was another game I talked about too with a friend that this was also dictated by the referees, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
There towards the end of the game. You don't see Paul Chris get very hot, and he was hot.
He was livid. I don't think I've ever seen him that heated during a game before. I've seen him, get upset after post-game conferences and whatnot, but I've never seen him lose his cool like that in a game before.
No, neither have I. And it was I don't know. It was a fourth down.
Yeah.
Yeah, fourth down conversion was what it was. But I don't know. That was in Wisconsin did turn over 4 times.
Yeah.
And that, no matter who you are, you're not going to win with 4 turnovers.
And sure, it came down 28-27 was the final. Oregon looked good in this game, but they were only doing 7 points a quarter. They weren't
exactly. They weren't. Yeah, it wasn't. They weren't an offensive juggernaut.
Right. I mean, Wisconsin obviously, 7 points averaging a quarter as well, but you can't score 3 points in the fourth quarter in a tight ball game and hope to squeak it out.
No. And then the muffed punt there from Wisconsin, that Brady Breeze or whatever his name is, he ran that in for a touchdown. So kind of those turnovers and mental errors that really did hurt Wisconsin. As we mentioned, those 4 turnovers.
Yep.
Those came critical spots too, because one of them was Jonathan Taylor, and he doesn't fumble the football ever.
No, he does not.
And so that was a costly one. And then there was a few in the red zone that were costly that ended up really being the ultimate, I think, deciding factor in Wisconsin losing that game. Besides the one officiating,
gaff.
yeah, it's still it's tough to say because with the way things have been called here the past year or so, you don't know what is and what isn't anymore.
Well, yeah,
there's no consistency at all.
It's so frustrating because they established what a catch was, and then it was consistent for a while. And then now all of a sudden, we don't know what a catch is. We don't know what a fumble is. Like, it's there's a lot of issue at the collegiate and the NFL level on officiating consistency, and it needs to be addressed really, really hard this offseason.
Yeah, I think so too. And there needs to be repercussions for some of these officials who do make blown calls. Because there were this bowl season there. I think there's more this bowl season than past years that I remember.
Absolutely. There really have been. It's been a lot of awful officiating mistakes that have. I never want to ever say that officiating is the reason you lose a game, because I think that there are 4 quarters to a game. One call, yes, even if it's a late call, doesn't affect the game that much, but there is such a thing as momentum.
Sure.
And if there's a call that goes against a team who has momentum, it can absolutely kill that.
Well, it's momentum and it's field position. It's a lot of those things that go into one decision.
Absolutely. The Sugar Bowl, speaking of New Year's Day bowls, Georgia just absolutely came out hot in this game. Jumped up to a 19-0 lead at halftime over Baylor, and they didn't look back.
Yeah, Baylor couldn't get anything going offensively or defensively, really. Offensively, they were pretty stagnant throughout the ball game. But it was good to see Brewer come back after an injury.
Yep.
They suffered the week prior, or 2 weeks prior, I guess. But yeah, they were pretty stale on all 3 phases of the ball game.
They had one solid quarter in the third quarter, scored 14 points, made it look a little bit closer, but couldn't generate anything outside of that third quarter.
No, they couldn't.
Jake Fromm looked really, really solid in this game.
He did, yeah, even with DeAndre Swift not playing. Or he had like 1 carry for 2 yards or something like that.
Yeah. Well, because the one guy got hurt. Swift had to go in.
yeah. Because he didn't want to play because of an injury he was getting over.
Right.
I think is what it was.
Right, which is fine.
That's fine, yeah. But then he obviously declared for the draft shortly after. But yeah, he had 1 carry for 2 yards, but he's their stud. but it didn't really matter because they were able to move the ball at will.
Yep. Yep. So, I mean, like I said, Georgia looks solid. Now, Jake Fromm is done now, right?
No, he's got another. He can come
He's
back
got
if he
another
wants.
year? Okay.
Yeah.
Man, it feels like he's been there for
Yeah, that's
10
what I'm talking
years.
to him. I'm actually texting my buddy right now, Trey, who's a Georgia fan, and he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. He's not sure yet.
Okay.
It's kind of surprising, too, because you think he'd have declared by this point or said whatever, told what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I'm sure he's, taking a lot of factors and trying to figure it out. Hey, can we win the SEC next year if I stay?
mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, Georgia looked really solid in that game. Hats off to them. Baylor, I'm excited to see what this program does. They're definitely on the rise. Just lack of experience in a big situation. So
Yeah, well, and, too, their coach, Real, he might be, or Rule, he might be going to the NFL.
mm-hmm.
He could be gone here. I think he's like the leading candidate for the Giants, I believe.
That sounds right, yeah.
And so, who knows?
Speaking of candidates, did you see Lincoln Riley is talking
Dallas.
to Dallas?
Yeah, I did see that.
That could be really interesting. That'd be a really interesting situation down in
That would be,
Dallas.
but if I'm him, I'm not leaving Oklahoma. We've got a pretty sweet setup there.
Oh, yeah,
I wouldn't leave
not.
that.
Absolutely not. I mean, he's set for life there, honestly.
Absolutely. All right, Philadelphia just tied it up 3-3 with a
Okay.
46-yard field goal.
All right. So, there's 3:37 left in the quarter?
2:53.
2:53. Okay, my ticker just hasn't updated yet. So, all right, cool. So, for you NFL guys listening at home, 3-3 right before halftime. So, cool deal. This bowl was probably one of my favorites to watch. Conflicting with another bowl that I don't really want to talk about. Minnesota Auburn.
Yes, I was slipping back and forth between that one and the one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about Minnesota, they're going to be around for a long time. I think
They are.
they look good.
PJ Fleck.
He's got 7 years left, or they gave him a 7-year extension, so he's going to be there a long time.
I can't wait for him to get his recruits in.
I can't, and you know what? Obviously, I'm sure at some point he'll be on the list for NFL jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those coaches like Urban Meyer. He will never leave college football.
No.
Because his personality doesn't translate to the NFL. I don't think the
No,
high,
I don't think
the high energy, it's crowd surfing in the locker room. The NFL guys don't care about that. They're here. I'm getting paid. I'm getting out of here.
Right.
There's no emotion when it comes to the NFL from coaches, and I don't think he would do very well there. But that's why he's one of those guys who will never leave college. And Minnesota is the perfect spot for him.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's the other thing, right, is you look at Minnesota as a program who has been starved for so many opportunities to succeed on a national level.
Mm-hmm.
And, PJ Fleck, we watched him in the MAC. He just absolutely dominated the MAC with Western Michigan. And I think it's really cool that he's getting this opportunity at a bigger school, not an elite caliber school, but I don't want to say won't be that way. It won't be that way forever. It's as long as he keeps doing what he's doing, if he can keep this magic, you'll see Minnesota win a Big Ten championship in the next couple of years.
Absolutely, they're going to be around, and those guys they're going to start getting some more 4-star recruits, maybe 5 stars here and there, and they'll be able to be competitive because the West. Obviously it came down to a final game this year between them and Wisconsin, and Wisconsin came out on top. But, they're going to be competitive.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I don't see Purdue being competitive. Illinois, they're hit or miss.
Yep.
Obviously went to a bowl game this year, but lost to Cal and the Red Box Bowl. But still, they made good plays there. But just wasn't enough. They just didn't kind of came down to experience. And that's because the defense started getting extremely tired, and they haven't really been to a bowl game in a couple of years, So especially for Lovie Smith too, it's kind of an experience factor, prepping for bowl week and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, they're going to be on top of that West for a while, I think.
Yeah, no, I think they're definitely on the rise, and they've got a lot of potential for down the road success. Especially like I said, when PJ Fleck gets his recruits in, watch out. I
couldn't imagine sitting in a living room as a 17, 18-year-old kid and him coming in there and sitting down and talking about football with you.
Oh man, I'd be too excited.
Just that conversation would get the juices flowing, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
You order a pizza or get some burgers to the house. He's probably gonna hype up that burger or hype up that pizza.
You're like, man, where'd you get this burger?
Exactly.
This is great. Like, yeah. But that energy translates so well, and
Sure.
those players. This is what his second year at Minnesota.
Yes.
So those players have already bought into everything he's saying. He's breeding a completely different culture up there, and I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the future holds.
But that being said, we were talking about that bowl game. They won 31-24. Everybody wants to talk about, well, Auburn didn't come out. They didn't really want to play. No, that's an excuse, and I hate it when people say that. I promise you, every single one of those seniors who will not be going to the NFL wants to win their very last game. So this whole attitude of, well, it's a bowl game, it wasn't a national champion, it doesn't matter. No, those players want to win these games. They want to go out with a championship of some kind, whether it's a bowl championship, conference, whatever. I hate that excuse. It's just that's all it is an excuse.
Yeah, and I think Auburn too. They're a program with a solid young quarterback in Bo Nix, who once he gets comfortable doing what he does, I think he'll be they'll be forced to reckon with.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. I think Bo Nix has a lot of tools in the toolbox to really be successful. He's just got to refine them a little bit.
Sure. That's going to come with time and playing more games and whatnot, because you can only retool so much in practice.
Yep.
And all that experience comes in games.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Citrus Bowl. This is didn't want to talk about this one, but we have to. Michigan looked pretty solid in the first half. Alabama didn't really have any answers for them in terms of defensively, but Alabama they were slinging the ball. Michigan obviously shut out in the second half, losing to Alabama 35-16 in a score that was a little bit more inflated than what it should have been. Off the end of that game, Alabama ran a play, ran it in at the end of the game to kind of tack on some extra points to the lead. But another bowl game, another disappointment for Jim Harbaugh. He's now 1-9 in his last two games of the season, Ohio State and bowl games.
Yeah, that's a tough stat to look at. But it was one of those things too. Shea Patterson couldn't complete a pass to save his life in the second half.
He was awful. He was overthrowing guys.
He couldn't have hit the broadside of a barn. And he had open opportunities down the field, but just could not complete them.
He had several open opportunities. He had how many play action plays that he had guys wide open, didn't even see them. I think there was one in the third quarter specifically. Michigan was like 30 yards away from the end zone, and it was like 2nd and 10 or something. Play action, Donovan Peoples-Jones was wide open. He had about a 6, 7, 8-yard gap where nobody was around him, and Shea Patterson dumps it off to one of the running backs, and they lose like 3 yards.
Yeah, it was just a lot of inconsistent play there, but it's Alabama probably came in there probably pretty pissed off, I'd assume.
Yeah.
Because they're used to be playing in the playoffs. So they kind of came in and just playing against a quality opponent as well. They just said, all right, we're going to tack it on, and that's kind of what they did there at the end, taking in a few extra points.
Yeah, they flexed their muscles for sure.
Sure.
I mean, it was a solid game from Alabama. Nothing really to write home about. I mean, they kind of did what everybody expected them to do. Mac Jones looked really good. He threw 3 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, I was just going to comment. He didn't look too bad at all for really not having much playing time this year.
Well, and I think that's the other thing, too, is Michigan doesn't have a lot of film on him.
Exactly.
So they don't – so, if they had Tua, which we wouldn't be having this game if they had Tua. But if they had played against Tua, there's loads of film on him. Mac Jones has film against, Western Carolina.
Something like that, yeah.
And Auburn. Like, there's not film on him. So it just – I don't know. I think as somebody who supports the University of Michigan, it's frustrating to watch because Jim Harbaugh was specifically hired to come in and make Michigan relevant again. And I think he's done that to an extent.
Sure.
But when you're 1-9 in your last 2 games of the year in the last 5 seasons, there's no excuses. You have your recruits. You have your guys. You're not developing quarterbacks. Your defense is getting embarrassed by Ohio State consistently.
Yeah.
And you have one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, Don Brown. Like, there's no reason anymore. It's the University of Michigan really needs to sit down and have a long talk with Jim Harbaugh and say, look, we're giving you one last shot. If you don't do it, you're out.
Sure.
And they won't do it. I mean, I know they won't. He basically has a lifetime contract there.
Exactly. And it's one of those things too. Who are you going to go out and get though? You know, you're kind of stuck with what you have. And we're going to go side note here real quick. This is from Fox Sports. Jay Glazer. The Dallas Cowboys have officially informed me that Jason Garrett he is out as head coach.
Good. It's
Well, that was so weird too because they're interviewing coaches when him technically still not fired, like the past few days.
Well, and I think what they're doing is that they're trying to. Sorry, we are sidebarring listeners. I think what they're trying to do is just let his contract expire because that expires on the 14th.
Yeah.
So one, it looks better for him if he wasn't fired. He just wasn't renewed. Two, why are they gonna not pay him that last $150,000 for 2 weeks? And firing him just doesn't make sense, especially when the contract was up this year.
Right.
So, but thank you for that update. So we officially know he is no longer going to be the head coach. So, and I think that's a good thing too for Dallas fans, not only Dallas fans but players, because all that stuff that's been circulating, Dallas is going to be getting rid of him. Dallas is going to be moving on from this. It's really hard to concentrate if you're a player if you're not sure what's happening.
Sure.
And now these players know, all right, cool, we have to get ready for a new coach. Whereas it was...
Well, he's been there, 10 years?
10, 11 years, yeah.
And he's a player, former Cowboys player, so...
Well, and that's Jerry Jones' big thing is he likes to keep it in-house, which I respect. I have a lot of respect for that. But sometimes it's not a bad thing to go off the beaten path.
No.
And that's find success.
And that's one of those jobs too where I don't know why you would want it to be, for the simple fact that you have no say in anything. You just report to Jerry and he tells you the roster. I guarantee you he tells you the roster.
Oh, absolutely.
You coach, you just go out there and you call the plays. You don't have any decision on the roster.
Well, and that's the other part of it, right? It's Jerry's team, and you just get to be the guy taking all the criticism from the public. So
that's why I don't think Lincoln Riley would take that job.
No, I think he would be better suited for like an Ohio State for a Cleveland job. Honestly, I mean, you give Cleveland an 8-8 season. I mean, there's a parade in the streets. Honestly,
maybe the wild card berth. Speaking of wild card here, Seattle with about 1:15 to go, about a 30-yard pass here. They're on the 6-yard line.
Okay.
They've gone 7 plays, 77 yards in 1:36.
Wow.
And it looks like they'll go on the board before halftime.
Very nice, very nice. So,
but yeah, we're talking about the Citrus Bowl. Really, it wasn't that too exciting of a game, to be honest.
Right, it wasn't. Yeah.
So it was just one of those good noon games. Just use it as an excuse not to do anything, or to sober up. Either one.
There you go. Thursday games. We talked about this earlier. Cincinnati beat the brakes off of Boston College.
Yeah, they did. Well, after, like I said, the 2-hour rain delay and 5 people in the crowd. But then, fun fact, I didn't realize this till I talked about it, but Mike Vrabel's son is an offensive lineman freshman for BC. I did not know that until I saw that.
Well, and I think, I feel like I remember the Titans, or at least he flew up early to Boston for the playoffs yesterday, just so he could watch his son play not Boston, sorry. That was in Birmingham, Alabama. So he left the team early to go watch them play, and then he flew up to Boston after the team just so he could. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. But yeah, Cincinnati just looked so good in this game. Boston College had zero answers whatsoever.
Absolutely, yeah. It was kind of one of those things too, where it just became strength for strength, and Cincinnati had it.
Well, absolutely, and I think the thing that frustrates me as a college football fan is, again, the lack of disrespect that Cincinnati gets. They were the 21st ranked team in the country. Their only losses came to conference champions.
Yeah. 1 to Ohio State and 2 to Memphis, back-to-back weeks, too.
There is no reason that they should have been. This bowl game, I don't care about where they were playing. There's no reason they should have been playing Boston College.
No, they should have played like a Notre Dame or something like that.
Yeah, somebody who would have given them a game and challenged them a little bit. I mean, you knew from the first gun that this game was over.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Still 3-3, but it looks like Philadelphia has a roughing the passer.
Okay.
And so, it's going to give Seattle a first down, and the move half the distance to the goal. It's about the 3-yard line.
Okay, so, very cool, very cool.
All right, what else game do we have?
We've got one that I know you want to talk about, Indiana, Tennessee.
Yeah, that was a tough one to watch.
That was a tough one to
watch.
Was
pulling for the Hoosiers so bad at the onside kick, and then they blew what? a 16-point lead or something like that.
It was a 13-point
13-point
lead in the
lead.
last 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's
And
tough. And, that's kind of one of those things, too, when we talked about Illinois, it comes to IU was just experience and learning how to close.
mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Ooh, Marshawn Lynch got stuffed at the goal line. He turned it around for a touchdown.
Gotta love beast mode.
Beast mode's back, absolutely. He went through about 3 tackles and stumbled into the end zone for 6.
I guess
nine plays,
he
82
hasn't really
yards.
lost a step.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
He's a little
IU.
slower, but whatever.
Yeah, but IU. Yeah, that was tough to watch. And obviously living here in Indiana, a lot of friends go to IU who are alums at IU. I'm actually heading down to IU this weekend for the Ohio State IU basketball game.
Right.
I knew the Bloomington people down in Bloomington were excited about this one too. Finally being relevant again, having 9 wins on the year. But yeah, that was a tough one, and those things will just come. Learning how to close, and that experience it'll come for them because I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon either.
Well, I was going to say that this was Tom Allen's first bowl game, right?
Yep.
Coach Allen. So I think.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think they went to one last year.
No, I don't think they did.
Okay, yes, his last year was his first year.
But he really got those kids ready for this. Like,
yeah.
They were in this. I mean, they were in it, and then they were dominating for a good while. And I was sitting there. I was watching this game in the third quarter, towards the end of the third quarter, and I'm like, Indiana's just flexing their muscles now. They said, "Hey, this is our game to lose," and they came out swinging. Obviously, the onside kick that really sucked, but the defense just collapsed in the fourth quarter. Like the defense disappeared.
Yeah, they really did. Because defensively, I mean, they came out in the first quarter, had a 2 goal line stands, I think it was, and really kind of frustrated the Tennessee offense. And they did a phenomenal job putting pressure on the quarterback, who I can't pronounce his name because he has a very Jersey name. It starts with a G, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, he, and then Peyton Ramsey, I use quarterback.
Was it Garantano
or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I use quarterback Ramsey. He's not a bad quarterback. He can throw. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the Big Ten in passing yards this year.
Right. Yeah, he looked really solid. I mean, he still threw for, 230 yards in this game. He had a 62% completion percentage.
Something like that, yeah.
He looked really solid. And again, experience. Now they've got a little bit more under their belt. They're going to start winning those games that they're losing by a score. Things are going to slowly start to flip. So Indiana, played a really great game. Obviously couldn't get it done in the fourth, but they still had a chance late in the game to win it.
Absolutely, they were there. There was just 1 or 2 plays that could not convert.
Drop passes killed them on that final drive.
Yeah, they did. And I think it came down
to.
to, IU's guys, they're probably getting a little tired.
Absolutely.
They haven't been in this position in a while, and again, it's one of those things where it'll come back to experience. And they'll be all right.
Absolutely. We'll touch on Ohio, one of our schools, taking on Nevada in the Potato Bowl. I think the biggest thing I want to talk about, aside from the score 30-21 OU over Nevada, was Frank Solich getting French fries dumped on him at the end of this game.
Well, and that too, we can talk about that. We forgot to mention that earlier in the Tony the Tiger Bowl, they dumped Kellogg Frosted Flakes on him.
Yes, they did.
On Herm Edwards.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, you saw the video of Frank Solich getting fries on him, and he's eating them.
Yeah.
Like stuff that's stuck in his jacket, he's picking up and eating them. So I hope they were like warm fries. That would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, even better. No, and I just and I love that the players, they're all out on the field celebrating or whatever, shaking hands with Nevada, and here's Frank just walking across the field eating fries.
French fries, yeah.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Yeah, some great bowl celebrations this postseason.
And the MAC hasn't done too bad.
No, the MAC had a pretty solid showing.
You got one more, right?
Yeah, I think they're 4-3 now with Miami left on the docket. No, 3-3.
3-3. Is Miami tomorrow?
Miami's, tomorrow night in the LendingTree.com Bowl against Louisiana.
Okay. That's right. That's down there at Las
in
Peoples.
Mobile.
Yeah, Las Peoples Stadium. Yeah.
Yep. So that'll be a good one. It looks like Louisiana's favored.
Yeah, because that used to be the GoDaddy.com Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Because remember, Ball State lost in that in 2013 to Arkansas State. Because we had a nasty snowstorm here, and we were snowed in for like 3 days.
Oh.
And so we watched the game and just kind of hung out. I remember
See,
that now.
like,
We lost. It
and
was the
that's-
last second field goal we lost by.
I think it'll be cool for Miami, even if they don't win this game. It'll be really cool for Miami to have this opportunity to say, look, we turned our program around. We were not supposed to even be in the MAC championship,
Sure.
let alone win it. And now we're playing in, a post New Year's bowl game. Like, and obviously some of these games aren't that relevant. Like the Lockheed Armed Forces Bowl isn't that relevant. The Potato Bowl is a famous one, hence the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
That should be nationally televised. That should be prime time.
Mm-hmm. And then, but I think for Miami, this is a sign for them that good things are coming for this organization.
Absolutely, I think they'll be all right.
So let's talk the 2 playoff games that have happened. Which one would you like to discuss first?
We can start with LSU because there's not a whole lot to talk about there.
All right, Joe Burrow is a god. Next,
Pretty much. Like, he was flawless. He really was.
He was 8 touchdown passes. That's the new NCAA record for a postseason game, isn't it?
I think so.
8 touchdown passes, 63-28 was the final in this one, and they just stomped all over Oklahoma. Jalen Hurts did not look good in this game. Joe Burrow just said, "I'm gonna put it wherever I want to put it. Y'all are gonna deal with it."
Yeah, it was one of those things. Like, just Joe Burrow was, he couldn't do no wrong. He really was completing passes left and right. He was moving the ball. Yep. Oklahoma had no answer on either side of the ball.
Sorry, Joe Burrow threw for 7 touchdowns. 493 yards.
Yeah.
He had 10 incompletions. He had almost as many touchdown passes as he had incompletions.
He had more touchdown passes in this game than Matt Ryan has in that stadium all year long.
Yeah. Sorry, Atlanta.
That's rough.
But no, he looked really good, like you said. Thaddeus Moss, I'm just looking at these touchdown passes. Thaddeus Moss, 62-yard touchdown pass. Justin Jefferson, 30 yards.
So Thaddeus Moss is a big boy.
He is. Justin Jefferson, 30-yard touchdown catch. Justin Jefferson, 42-yard touchdown catch. Justin Jefferson had 4 touchdowns in this game, which, one, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this team just looked so dominant all the way through. I mean, Justin Jefferson had 14 catches, so easily Burrow's favorite target. Half of his completions were to Jefferson.
Jefferson, yeah. I don't think he even had a drop or.
No, I don't think so.
Didn't seem like it. Yeah.
227 yards and 4 scores. So
yeah, that's impressive.
Favorite target for sure.
Absolutely.
And Oklahoma had no business being in the playoffs. Who do you put in over Oklahoma?
Definitely not
really anybody.
Definitely not Utah.
No, definitely not Utah. Maybe Oregon could be arguing for that spot, but I just no. I mean, LSU was going to win that game no matter who they played.
Yeah,
I think,
absolutely.
Honestly, so good for them on that. Let's talk the other semifinal game.
Yeah,
the Fiesta Bowl.
I've had a week to calm down a little bit, but really, I mean,
we didn't record right away.
Yeah, we obviously blew a 16-point lead. There's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
The targeting call, as much as that rule sucks, yes, that was targeting. There's no defenseless rule in college,
right?
Which that's fine, whatever. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, he gets a 64-yard touchdown run shortly after that. But we hurt ourselves in the blocked punt attempt. Roughing the kicker. That's 15 yards. There's 15 yards and a first down. Just turnovers, missed tackles, things like that really did come back to haunt the Buckeyes. I mean, it's, I don't know.
Well, and I think you and I talked about this too. I feel like I talked about this to you. At the end, they're at the 26-yard line, 24-yard
something like that,
line,
yeah.
And Olave breaks his route. If he doesn't break that route,
yeah.
It's not a pick. It may not be a touchdown, but it's not a pick.
A pick, no. And he broke that route too because he thought Fields was scrambling, and so he was trying to make a play out of it. And they just miscommunication there. But what hurt, Fields threw more interceptions in this game than he had all season long.
Yeah, he had 2 in this game.
2 in this game. He had 1 coming into it. And the first one, or the one he had during the regular season, was just a bogus trick play that didn't work out.
Yeah.
So, but, and then we were in the red zone 3 times and it came out with 9 points. You got to get touchdowns there. There was one that was just a touch overthrown J.K. Dobbins. Came right off his fingertips when he came down to the end zone. That went to review. Obviously showed he dropped it. Well, we got a field goal out of that. And then we were down there 2 other times and got field goals out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially this type of game, that wasn't going to field goals weren't going to win that game. It needed to be touchdowns. So really, when it came down to it was just execution in the red zone, and missed tackles that really ended up hurting the Buckeyes. Yes, some costly penalties and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Clemson, I think they're going to get hammered by LSU.
I think so too.
I think it's gonna be like an Oklahoma type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the numbers for that yet. The spread, I haven't seen that, but
I'll pull it up really quick. But yeah, I mean, I think. Well, and this is something I kind of feel. I knew LSU was really, really good at football this year. Like we all knew that watching them. It looks like LSU is favored by 5.5, and that's it.
Really?
Over under is 69.5.
Yeah, I'll take that over though.
Oh, I 100% take that over. I think, and I think I take that betting line. I think I really do. I think LSU wins it, obviously by more than 5.5. I think there's something there that LSU just top to bottom, in every aspect of the game, completely dominant. Clemson showed some there were some chinks in the armor. It wasn't the spotless, shiny Clemson we've been used to seeing the last couple years. No, they showed some mistakes, some weaknesses. It's just going to be interesting to see if Ed Orgeron, I don't actually
Orgeron, Coach O.
Coach O. We'll stick with that. It'll be interesting to see how he game plans around stopping Trevor Lawrence. Because Trevor Lawrence is a great dual threat QB. I mean, that 65-yard run you were talking about a minute ago, I mean, he just turned on the jets.
And he doesn't really have jets. It's kind of funny. I mean, he is so lengthy. It's like he just has long strides.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to. Yeah, he's able to just glide down the field in a few steps because he's so big.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be really interesting. I like LSU in this game by a lot. I honestly think LSU is probably going to win this one by 3 scores.
I think so too.
But I mean, that's why they play the game. Now, if Clemson wins it, that'll really boost up the ACC, I think, a little bit. Give them a little bit more national recognition consistently. But do you want to go to that game, by the way? We could get tickets for $900.
I saw that. Well, unlike some of us, I have a wedding to pay for, so $900 is going to whatever my fiance wants.
I have tuition. I mean, I heard she wants to go to this game. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Well, that was funny. Speaking of that, we were watching the I can't remember if it was the Patriots game last night or the early game. But she was sitting here watching it. She's not much of a football fan until she really met me. But she's like, "Oh my gosh, look at this play!" And I came back and looked at it. She goes, "What have you done to me?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah." And it's like my mom growing up with my brother, my dad. He played, and my brother played. And so she'll watch games. If I can't watch it, she'll watch games. She knows what happens. She knows what plays are called. It's really it's interesting. But yeah, Faith's like, "What have you done to me?"
So for those of you who don't know, I actually met AJ's fiance Faith several years ago, about 5-6 years ago, before I met AJ. I think even before you met her, right?
Oh yeah.
So and we work together at a summer camp. Where we work with kids from all over the world. It's a really, really awesome opportunity. No, I'm not telling you because I don't want you to stalk us. But I met AJ not this year, but the year before. You came down to camp to visit, and I mean, AJ and I hung out this last year as well, and came.
Oh, that's right. I did go to camp. I remember. I forgot I went to camp for.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Lake House, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, we became fast friends. We got a small group chat with some of us, and
sure.
And I mean, you love it.
And that group chat consists of Alex and I bashing on one other person. It's essentially what it is.
And Faith just standing idly by.
And she's usually sitting next to me when I do it too. So it's great.
But Brittany, if you're listening, we do it out of love. We just want you to be happy and healthy. So
of course. And sober.
Yes, that too.
That's a story for a different day. But
yeah, I mean that's been our friendship. I know that I've had some people ask, like, how do you know this guy? He lives in Fort Wayne, and so I figured I'd kind of share that story with you guys. AJ's become a pretty good friend.
And we have other mutual friends in common too.
Which is crazy.
It's weird how it all works out.
How this world works.
Yeah,
But,
I did work and lived in Toledo. I was there for a summer and a winter, working in the mud hens and the walleyes. So yeah, some of the people I've known, and you were in the BCSN studios last night, so I knew some of those guys as well. Yep. One of my good friends, Charlie, he did it when I was there. He works for ESPN now, and he's all over the country during bowl season. He's a new bowl game every day.
See,
and
so cool.
It's such a sweet gig. He was at IU a couple of years ago, and I hung out with him for a while. I think it was an IU Michigan game actually. It went to overtime down in Bloomington, and that was like 2015 probably.
Okay.
And he was down there working, so we were talking, and he was showing me kind of how it all works, the broadcasting stuff works, because I know it from a radio perspective, because that's what I do here in Fort Wayne.
Right.
But from a television broadcasting perspective, it's a totally different ball game. So it's kind of really fun to watch and pay attention to.
Absolutely. It's and so we try to have fun with this. Obviously we want to.
And we play MLB The Show together on PS4.
We do. Yeah.
If anyone wants to challenge us, send us your gamer tags.
We'll let AJ do the challenging, since I clearly can't stack up. I'm
in my second year of my player.
Are you really?
Third year? I'm in my third year. Yeah.
I created a profile where I was a pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, and then I would just tank my throwing until I got traded back to the Reds, and then I'd work my way up through their farm system. Won several Golden Gloves, but then also like a couple seasons had an ERA of like 7.5. So like I was intentionally tanking just so I could be with my Reds.
There you go.
I'm
with the Indians on mine. I'm a catcher. I'm batting
Nice.
309 with 7 home runs, I think.
Okay.
So.
I like it. Let's flip on over to some college shooty hoops real quick.
Yeah.
On Friday, so the 3rd, AJ and I were kind of noticing this. Ohio State was taking on Wisconsin. This is 5th-ranked Ohio State taking on Wisconsin. And Wisconsin came into town, it was at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Came into town, beat them 61-57. At the same time, our schools, Toledo and Ball State, were playing each other in basketball. Toledo ended up losing 61-57.
Can I comment? Toledo's basketball uniforms are trash.
Oh, they're awful.
Those are so bad.
The home ones are pretty good. The away ones are terrible.
The gold with the silver numbers.
Yeah. The away
those
ones
are bad.
So bad.
But if they had like black or blue numbers, it'd be great. But the silver,
I'd love the blue
trash.
numbers.
Yeah,
blue numbers with like some kind of gold trim would look really sharp.
Yeah, but that silver looked trash.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
pretty
going back to the Ohio State Wisconsin, it's the Big Ten's gonna start playing. They're playing each other now, and just like they do every year, they just beat the hell out of each other.
Yep.
And we noticed that already. And like I said, I'm going down to Bloomington, so I'll be on our Twitter, tweeting from the game and stuff like that. Down there in Bloomington. So but again, they're gonna beat up on each other, and it's kind of interesting too this year in college basketball outside of the Big Ten. You don't want to be a top 7 ranked school because you're gonna lose
easily.
It's happened. It happens every week. Louisville goes down. We go down. Duke went down. North Carolina went down. Villanova went down. Sparty went down. And
Louisville went down bad on Saturday to Florida State. I actually didn't see that.
Yeah, they did.
They got stomped.
And then Sparty, they played Michigan today, didn't they?
Yeah, they played Michigan today, and they took it to Michigan. That was up in East Lansing, 87-69.
Yeah.
And then Dayton, number 20 ranked Dayton, who Dayton always cracks me up. They're always one of the best teams in the country in terms of their wins, but they play in such a terrible conference.
Right.
That they're always just bounced. But
they're A10, right?
Yeah, the A10.
Yeah.
But guess what? Their conference champion always gets an invite to the national tournament.
Well, they beat Ohio State too a couple years ago.
Yes, they did. They Dayton looked really good a couple years ago.
Well, it was Archie Miller too, but now he's in Bloomington, and IU fans aren't happy with him.
Yeah, no, it's been looking rough for Indiana. To start this season, I've been relatively disappointed. They're 1-2 in conference play right now.
Something like that. Yeah. Then they had Romeo Langford, who's their stud freshman last year. He went to the NBA. He's in Boston now, so he was Mr. Indiana basketball.
They are 1-2 in Big Ten play, 7th in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So yeah, Indiana's 11-3 on the season. They're just not. I don't know. I think they will be fine. because it's Indiana, they're consistently good,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't have over the next 3 weeks. They've got a relatively tough schedule. They've got Ohio State this weekend. They're traveling to Nebraska, who isn't a good team, but Nebraska always plays well at home.
They're one of those teams too that just come out of nowhere and get a win randomly.
Mm-hmm. And then the bulk of their schedule, and this is where it gets fun: January 23rd versus Michigan State, January 26th versus Maryland, January 29th at Penn State, February 1st at Ohio State.
And Penn State got a big win last night too.
Yes, they did. Those 4 teams are ranked in the top 25, so it's 4 straight ranked opponents back to back to back. Like Indiana, this is a chance for them to turn it around and see what they can do for the season. I think they'll be fine. Like I said, I think they'll go far in the Big Ten tournament, and I think that they'll, first or second round in the NCAA tournament. But this team is one of those that just really needs to refocus and retool the offense, retool the defense, and just figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's big pass here for Philadelphia. Like McCown to Ertz.
Nice.
There we go.
I like Zach Ertz.
Yeah, I think Wentz is done for the night.
Wow. That's a huge blow to Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
But that's a break Seattle is definitely happy for.
First play of the second half went to Ertz across the middle, right over the Seattle's coverage, or right over their heads. I mean, fingertips over their heads.
Mm-hmm.
But McCown's one of those guys who's been in the league for 20 years, played for 25 different teams, and he'll be all right.
I was looking at Toledo's schedule and was going to propose something to you.
Mm-hmm.
Toledo and Ball State play each other at the end of February here in Toledo.
Yeah.
What do you say you come on up and we make a day of it?
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be fun. We could do some live video from the account or whatever. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I've had some. They're showing McCown's Wentz definitely has a concussion after that.
Lovely.
He went back into play and his eyes were the back of his head.
He doesn't know what's going on.
He didn't know where the hell he was at. I just saw a tweet a few minutes ago. His wife went down to the locker room, so yeah, he's done.
Okay.
But yeah, he went down face first, and then a defender came in and smoked him in the back of the head, and his face mask went into the turf.
Yeah, you hate to see that. People can not like teams or whatever, but you never want to see the guy get hurt.
No.
I think
McCown's going deep again to Aguilar. There's a pass interference on Flowers.
I don't like Aguilar. He was very frustrating for me this year.
Yeah.
I picked him up off of waivers in fantasy.
Yeah.
He had a couple good weeks and then just disappeared. So Nelson Aguilar is dead to me.
But yeah, we'll have to find a date for that Toledo game. That'd be fun. And I got friends and family up there too who are all Toledo alums, so we can make a whole day of it. That'd be a lot of fun.
Go. Yeah, it looks like it's February 29th.
Okay.
It'll be on ESPN3. So we can plan that. Obviously we got time.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I trying to think. Is there anything else we want to?
And we'll do a Mudhens game this summer too.
Yes,
because I still know a few people up there. We can do some stuff.
Well, I was gonna say if you want to come up for a walleye game, we can make that happen too.
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so.
My weekends are booked the next 3. It seems like.
Hey, that's fine.
We'll figure something out. Yeah,
we'll make it work. But
and even if they're back down here in Fort Wayne, I'm sure they will be here soon too. So
yeah, they've got 3 more months of hockey at least.
Yeah.
So
we'll make it happen.
Yeah, I don't. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on today?
I think we covered most of it, man.
All right, cool. So, guys, I think that's going to do it for us.
Oh, I guess the Bearded Brothers haven't said much because
They haven't.
You always inform me, so
they have not said much.
I haven't think so.
I think we're just trying to iron out details for our joint pod. I think we're going to do it after the playoffs and after the Super Bowl.
And then we're also doing a fantasy league for podcasters, right?
Yeah, we for those who I don't know if you follow their account or not, listeners, but the Beard Brothers Fantasy Football Podcast has invited us to join their podcasters only fantasy league. And so we're going to be doing, it looks like a 10-man or 12-man league, 12-team league.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some interesting podcasts in there. There's a podcast, it's an all-girls podcast, and it's called Girls Talk Sports 2.
Okay.
And I listen to them. Great content. You guys check them out on Twitter. They really know what they're talking about, and they just cover all kinds of NFL. Just everything. They really know what they're doing. I sent them an invite from our page, and I said, "Guys, we'd love to have you," and they signed on. So I thought that was really cool.
That'd be a good time.
So AJ and I are going to be co-owning a team in this league. and we'll see what happens. We'll keep you guys updated.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we'll be doing the draft here soon. At least I'm not sure how they want to set it up. I know that we'd like to do the draft soon with the NFL draft, but it's whatever they're deciding. So, but we'll keep you guys updated on that for sure. That's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, AJ, I think that's going to do it for us today.
That's good for me.
Cool, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys do check out the Facebook page across the board for articles, other podcasts, everything. You can follow us on Twitter at ATB Sports Net. Make sure you follow our podcast link at Across the Campus. If you do need that fantasy football advice to kind of gear up for dynasties and stuff for next year, check out our Cousins, the Beard Brothers Fantasy Football Podcast. If you're looking for some basketball information on the Cleveland Cavaliers, follow Across the Cavs. If you're looking for, really anything sports related, we're going to be starting up an Across the Ice podcast here soon. It's going to be talking about NHL. Okay. So that'll be one to listen out for.
Yeah.
And that'll be exciting. But, yeah, like I said, our Beard Brothers, our cousins, if you will, you can follow them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you follow them on Twitter at BeardBrosFF. They really know their stuff. They've helped me win a couple championships, even if it wasn't in their league. I've a lot of good advice, a lot of good thoughts and opinions on players. And they really know what they're talking about. So
absolutely. Looks like McCown here was going to rush out of the pocket, and that was third down, so they're going to have to kick a field goal here instead of the 10-yard line.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, guys, we're going to sign off so we can go catch the rest of this
Eagles-Seattle
game. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
See you.